Someday you'll realize that the life you thought you wanted is far different from the life that will actually make your soul come alive. Someday you'll realize that your picture of what you want is really just a reflection of what the world has told you to want, and that there is actually so much more out there for you. Someday you'll realize that many things you once wanted you didn't really want, and you'll start listening to your soul about what you truly desire in this life.
Well, hello, everybody. Hey. Good to see everybody on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
All right. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. Okay.
All at one time.
All at one time.
That's what I'm talking about. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Strong Marriage. I'm Coach Chris, your leadership coach, and this is
Coach Tanisha, your certified relationship coach.
This is my wife, too. So,
yes.
Hot wife. Hot. Today, we're going to be talking about a few things. So I'm just going to say welcome back to another episode of Strong Marriage Live.
Strong Marriage Live in the house.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about a vital aspect of marriage and relationships, which is called physical intimacy, or segs. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get we're not going to get too explicit, but we're going to talk about realness, and we're going to go behind the scenes of a relationship and what things you should expect, how to work through things. And if you have questions, pop your questions in, and we'll try to take those as we can.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll explore why it's important, how to navigate different levels of your desire, because we all know we have different levels of intimacy, and sometimes one person may want something a little bit more than the other person is able to do, but we'll talk through that.
It's normal. Yeah.
It is normal. It's definitely normal. What to do when sex is not possible, sex is not possible, and how to cultivate a marriage filled with intimacy. Intimacy.
Yes.
And of course, we'll ground today's conversation in biblical principles to help guide you.
Always.
Always.
So welcome to Strong Marriage Live. Woohoo.
Let me hear the crowd.
Yeah, we need to get some sound effects or whatever.
I can do it. I can tell her. I'm not going to say her name. So
okay.
Yes.
Segs. We're talking about physical intimacy today. Is a gift from God. So that's number one. It's a gift.
What's the title of this? What is
today's episode is called Behind Closed Doors, Unveiling the Beauty and the Battles of Sex and Marriage.
Oh, I thought there was bottles in sex and marriage. No. Battles. Because it does become a battle sometimes.
There's some battles.
Battle with your flesh, battle in the spirit, battle in the real tangible
in
stuff.
the real tangible stuff.
And it can cause a lot of problems if you don't communicate.
If you don't communicate. So, but first of all, we want you to understand, recognize, know, comprehend that sex is a gift from God. Yes, He created it.
Yes,
He made it.
Yes.
Everything He made is good.
Everything is good.
And it's a gift for a husband and his own wife.
Yes, not somebody else's wife.
Right, not somebody else's wife, not swinging, not
that's the thing that's going around right now.
Pineapples and all that stuff.
No pineapples, upside down
one
pineapples.
Husband,
yes.
One wife.
We've been on those ships. They pineapples all over the place.
No pineapples.
Yes.
So it's meant to bring joy, connection, and oneness between the husband and the wife.
Yes.
The Bible says in Genesis 2:24, a man will leave his mother and father and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So one flesh is not just talking about sex. It's talking about spiritually you're one. It's talking about emotionally you're one. It's talking about physically you're
physical
one.
Intimacy. Yes.
So
mental
it's
intimacy.
All of the things. That's what I call great sex. It's how you can guarantee the big O, the oranges in your life.
Love those oranges.
We love oranges.
And women do have oranges.
Yes.
And
last night I realized that some women have never experienced oranges. We're not talking about the fruit.
No, we're talking about oranges, and it is godly that it should happen.
Yes, you should have an orgasm. You really should.
Oranges.
We should have lots of oranges.
But you have to take your time. You have to communicate, and you have to develop that closeness and that intimacy of communication in order to hit that certain level.
Yeah, but it's the journey to get to the orange is a beautiful thing, and a husband and a wife coming together to figure out how to get that orange is a wonderful thing in itself.
Yeah, I remember episode on TV. I'm not gonna digress. Let's start by addressing with physical intimacy, why it's so important.
Why it's important.
Yes, in your marriage. Scripture clearly states that with intimacy between a husband and a wife, it's beautiful and God ordained.
Yes.
Part of our marriage. So in 1 Corinthians 7:3-5, it tells us that the husband should give to his wife her conjugal rights.
It's the rights.
Conjugal rights, and likewise the wife to her husband.
Yes.
Do not deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time.
For a limited time. For what? For prayer.
For prayer, yes.
For devoting yourself to God.
But talk to each other. Don't go off and decide it on your own.
Right.
You should talk to each other before you decide to do something.
Yeah.
So that you know, okay, during this time, we're not going to do anything. During this time, we're going to do something other than sex. Because this shows us that the intimacy is a mutual responsibility, something to be cherished and cultivated.
Something that's important, something that is a privileged duty. It's not only your responsibility, but it's a wonderful responsibility to have. It is a beautiful thing. So this is a chore, for lack of a better word, that you like to indulge in.
Yes. So absolutely, physical intimacy strengthens the emotional bond between a husband and a wife.
So yes. So as we shared in the guided intimacy journal, when we nurture the physical side of our relationship, it creates deeper trust, unity, and even healing. So in a world where distractions are everywhere, taking time for each other physically helps our relationship.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
We really like that.
Physical intimacy is a form of communication. So just like when I'm sitting here, if you don't know, so you can't see, I am constantly rubbing against my wife with my arm or just touching out to her just so that she knows that I'm here. Because it's not just being next to her, but it's actually touching the person next to you so that they know that you're there. It's a way of expressing love. Sometimes words cannot capture everything that you want to say. So sometimes it's just a quick touch, a quick, nudge against you. So keeping that connection alive is vital for the overall health of your marriage or your relationship.
Yes, especially since my love language is physical touch.
So that's always important. Knowing your partner's love language, and then know how to speak in that love language.
Right.
Just like if you speak Spanish, you're not going to understand me if I'm speaking German. So I need to learn Spanish so you can hear me, and then you need to learn German so you can hear me.
You can.
Yeah.
So I can speak to you.
Yeah. Let's speak in English.
Yes. Making sure that you show love, you demonstrate your love to your partner with their love language is very important.
Because I'm an acts of service.
Yes. But I'm going to get better at serving.
And it took a while for us to understand what our love language was between each other and how it was important for me to speak to her in her love language and for her to hear me. Because whether or not it was I was doing something and then get upset because she didn't do what I wanted to do. I'm like, but it wasn't the right language that I was speaking for you to hear, nor what you were hearing.
Yeah.
So, it's what it is.
Also, sorry. I wanted to put this in here too.
Put it in there.
Because we talk about love languages and you would mention, me not hearing you sometimes is because there are differences, of course, in introverts and extroverts and the level, the way our brain is wired and how we receive and hear things.
Yes.
For example, he will say, we need to go to the store to get food for dinner tonight. And I'll be like, yep, we need to go to the store to get, I never registered a request, a to-do list, or anything. It's just like, yep, it's a fact. That is a fact that we need to go to the store to get dinner tonight.
Or I'll make a list and send a list to you and say, hey, this is going to be the shopping list.
This is going to be a shopping list. Okay, that's a shopping list. But it never registers in my brain that, girlfriend, you need to get in the car and you need to go get this so we can have dinner tonight. For me, you have to explicitly say that. I would like for you to go to the store and this and that. And I know you're probably saying, Tanisha, he just said his love language is acts of service. Get it together.
I didn't have a car at the time. She had my car. Therefore, I could not drive to go get it. Otherwise, I would have went shopping for myself and got the food for the house because of who I am and what I like to do in acts of service. It's easier for me just to go forth and do it.
But you have to let me.
But I have to let her
do it so I can serve you so that you know how much I love you.
Yes. So it's very important for me to explain to her, hey, can you go to the store and get the stuff on the shopping list that I sent you?
Yes. And I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah. She's excited about the list.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff to eat.
I was like, oh, that's some good stuff on his list, and left the list sitting there because there was not a directive. But yeah, so those things, and guess what? That plays into sex later on.
Desire.
Yes.
So let's talk about levels of desire. So as a woman goes and a man goes through different levels, we will have different ebbs and flows. So
I like how you put that.
Yes, when a man at a certain age of life is constant, boom, 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 he wants to have
bam, bam, bam.
He wants to play tennis all the time.
Oh, yes.
But then again, when he gets older and he hits a certain age and the wife is around the same age,
then I'm like, what happened to tennis?
Because the wife all of a sudden has this urge to play tennis all the time. So because she wants to play tennis all the time, sometimes the man may not want to play tennis all the time.
But you got to play tennis.
You got to play tennis.
Because I played tennis when I didn't want to play tennis.
Yes. So you have to learn how to walk through and talk about these things and understand that that is one of the things that you have to do.
We're going to play tennis.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the game of tennis.
We're not talking about tennis.
Okay, so.
But we are talking about desire.
Yeah, there's one of the most common issues, one of the battles that you're going to face as a married couple, especially if you're in it to win it for a long haul. The vow is to death do us part. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
So you're going to face those very things when you're in the first years of marriage, phase of your marriage. There's going to be lots and lots of physical intimacy.
Yes.
Then you'll have seasons. You'll have kids. Perhaps.
That first year was like, hey,
we
had some hard times, but we had some good sex. Sex.
Yes. There was a lot.
But it was rough that first 2 years. But we worked on that.
But the sex made it much better.
It did make it better. It wasn't perfect, but it was better.
Yes, it made it wonderful. I mean, solved a lot of issues.
But then when we get older and going through the marriage in different ages,
you hit different stages, different times
of different. Your hormones change, especially after a baby, during a baby. That third trimester.
The third
Did you know the third trimester
is a woman's friend?
They get very, very interested in tennis.
You don't have to say, I wish my wife would initiate, because your wife is going to be initiating.
Yes, and there's things that come out of there that you just like, what is this stuff here? When you first get married,
might be some of the baby. Who knows?
You don't know. You don't know, because that is some strange stuff.
But it was wonderful stuff.
It was interesting.
It was very wonderful.
Yes.
So there's going to be different
hormones. There's going to be different excitements and
experiences
and cravings.
Yes, different cravings.
Yes,
at different times in your life,
and you have to adjust to it. Your partner has to adjust to it.
Both of you have to be flexible and to adjust to it. And don't look at a changing season like, oh, this is worse. Or it's just different.
Let's just say different. There's a higher sex drive.
Yes.
There's a higher sex drive, and you're usually not at the same sex drive at the same time.
Right.
But you do have to communicate. I think it's Ephesians 4:2 reminds us to be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another, and love. That means just because somebody isn't interested at that moment, you have to be patient with them and talk to them and communicate with them exactly what you want to do.
Because this is my body.
And this was my body.
So if I want to wash my body, then I get to wash my body because it's my body.
Yeah. If I get to wash my body, I get to wash my body.
And when we want to wash the bodies together, that's just wonderful.
Because God made us one. When we both came out, it wasn't Adam and Eve. When we first came, it was Adam as together. We were one together. And then we were split and made me and you.
Right.
Therefore, when we get back together and married, we become one again.
Yes.
So that's what we want to, and that's what we want to keep our same levels equal with communication.
And this is how you can keep your levels equal. So this is what I did. So in the first part of our marriage, when his drive was higher than mine, I would, number one, make a confession. And I confess that I was ready when he was ready.
You can confess that?
Yes, you can. You can pray about your sex life.
There's nothing you can't pray about.
Nothing you can't pray about because it's in the will of God.
As long as it's in the will of God. And the will of God is the word of God.
Yes.
And since sex is in there,
it's in there.
And it's ordained between you and your wife,
yes.
You can pray about anything in there that falls underneath that.
That's right.
So lubrication.
Lubrication.
Not drying out.
Lubrication. I know sometimes I get the question all the time, can I use that? Is that a sin? This and that. We are Christians, but guess what? We have a physical body and God understands that. And sometimes that physical body doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
And I'm going to say women, when they hit a certain age and they start to go through changes, you need to have that lubrication.
Or certain times, just pH balance isn't right.
Yes. You have to.
Or maybe your mind is not totally there, but okay, this is his body and I'm doing what I need to do for my husband. Maybe maybe she hasn't woken up yet. But you got a limited window because those kids are going to be awake in a minute. So you may have to get some lubrication to go ahead and speed up that process.
Amen. And
amen.
Let's stop. And also don't forget, like a time when you had the ovaries, and that was an issue, and your ovaries had swollen ovaries.
No. My ovaries are fine.
I don't know what it's called. Let me think about this. What was it called? What was it?
It was the uterus that was the
fibroids.
Yes.
Fibroids. Yes.
I was like, my ovaries?
Yeah. Well, because of the fibroids and the way it got, they had to remove.
They were in the uterus. Though.
Right. And they had to remove a partial hysterectomy.
Yes.
And which women do not be afraid of that. Men do not encourage
that was the best surgery ever. Okay.
Listen to your wife when she says these things about her private parts and what's going on. It's very important to listen and to hear and to support.
Yes, because some of these battles, and that goes into the next section. So we're still talking about mismatched levels of desire and what you can do. So what you can do, not only did I do confessions and pray about our sex life, but I also made sure that I would take all the blockers away. So I know for women, we can be thinking about, oh my gosh, that bill's not paid. Oh my gosh, the kids are going to be up in a minute. I got to do this. I got to do this. And so what I would tell myself is when he's ready, I'm ready. I'm always excited to be with him. So I would confess that throughout the day. And I would also think about him all day. I would think about the last time we made love. I would think about the last time he made me scream his name. And so when he came home, if he was ready, then I was ready. So that's how women can help get themselves together. Now you talk with the men, how they can get themselves together.
Put your mind in the mind frame. The mind in the mind frame. I think that's what you have to think about it. You have to understand that even if you're not ready, your wife is ready, and you have to put yourself in that mind state that, hey, this is something for not just for her, but for both of us.
For both of us.
So even if you're not ready, man, you have to put yourself in that mind state that, hey, it's my duty
to please that booty. Yes. To say.
But yes, but you have to put yourself in that mind state. And you also can't be, how you would say, greedy or selfish, which means it's not trying to a race to the finish where I get mine first, but just an enjoyment with each other.
Yeah.
Unless there's an agreement, like, hey, you want to get yours, I get yours, I get mine. Okay, on this day we're going to.
Communication.
Communication,
Yeah.
but you have to give yourself over to your partner.
Mm-hmm. It has to be actual talking about, hey, would you like to tonight be all about you?
And foreplay. You have to have foreplay. And foreplay doesn't have to be physical foreplay. It could just be talking.
All day long, actually.
Yeah.
Women need foreplay all day.
Foreplay can be intimacy with just speech and communication and just closeness and trust. So it is something that we went over in our intimacy conversation guide. We encourage couples to openly discuss their needs without shame,
without guilt,
because
you're married. This is your covenant right.
This
is your blessing.
You have to communicate in a way that honors God and your spouse.
Yes.
That means using I statements like I feel disconnected when we don't have physical intimacy.
Oh, that's good.
It is
that's good.
Shoot, that's awesome. Yeah. It can express how you're feeling without blaming, without doing any type of blame. Right. So it's I, not you. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. It's like in James 1:19, it teaches us that be quick to listen,
slow to speak,
slow to
become angry.
Slow to become angry, because it's essential with these delicate conversations, because you can easily upset somebody, make them feel bad. You have to be humble when you do these things, and you have to talk.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can't be selfish with this. You actually have to be willing to listen.
Yeah, you also have to be open to flexibility and compromise, because maybe at that moment, you don't have what you need to get ready. Maybe you are just physically exhausted and you couldn't even perform well if you did say yes. So, sometimes, but that statement, what you said was, I feel disconnected. I feel completely exhausted and I don't feel I would do a good job if I said yes. Just
and
those
it's all right
simple,
to do that.
Yeah, that's those simple conversations.
Guys and girls, men and women.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to say,
right,
I just don't feel like that tonight.
Right.
Can we just sit here, watch a movie, and just be together?
Can we cuddle, or can you give me to tomorrow? Something, I'll make it up.
Let's run your time. Let's do something. Let's do.
And not all the time. Don't use this to.
No.
God knows your heart.
Yes.
And if you're just saying that because you don't want to do it and you keep doing it over and over and
because
over.
something else that's bothering you,
right? Like
finances, like she said, one of those blocks, like finances, like a conversation you had that upset you. If that's what it is, don't dwell on it. You got to talk about it, because it's the little foxes
that spoil the vine.
That means it's the little things that can put a crack in your armor and then start separating you bit by bit by bit until within a year, you're not talking about it. It's a whole lot worse.
And then you wake up and you're like, why did I marry this person? Why? I don't feel like it. How many couples would still be married today if they just had that conversation?
When it first happened.
When it first happens.
If you're at work, and I like talking about that, when you're at work and something happens at work, the first person you're going to go to is a lot of times going to be a union store or somebody to talk about it. Or you're going to go talk to your boss. Hey, this person's getting on my nerves.
Going to HR.
Hey, go to HR with your spouse. Yes. Go to HR. Go to God about your spouse, and then talk to your spouse. This is what this is for. If you
Lord, I need some more.
Hey, if it's a union rep, give a mentor a call.
Yeah.
Reach out. Find a coach, somebody that's been through it before, so that you can communicate with somebody to get some type of idea. But you want somebody that has something that's positive. That's greater than where you are. Yeah. Not somebody that's been through 20, 15 divorces and a bunch of different things, but somebody who has fruit. Yeah. That you can see exactly what's happened, what's going on with their life, and that everything is positive.
Right.
And for the glory.
For the glory of God.
Of God.
Yes. So I just wanted to mention real quick a plug for my book, The Sex Dare, because
good book.
In this book, I specifically talk about 21 days. I specifically talk about what happens when you say no over and over again. So day 14, the N word, that's no. So if you want to know more about that, I'll put the link in the description.
But it's on our Stan.Store.
It's on the Stan.Store.
It is a download. You can actually get a hard copy, a hard paperback, or as a download. If you just want to start the 21 Days Guide to Great Sex, you can start that today.
You sure can.
So just go there, take a look at it, see if it's something that can work for you. No, it will, because it worked for us.
It worked for us.
We're at 31 years now. And hey, let me tell you, I can't wait to get another 31 more in, and then another 31, because it is now at a point that, hey, we're examples. We're where we want it to be when we first started.
Right.
But you can't see that when you first start. You have to get to that point. And what we did was we made sure we wrote all this stuff down. Started first in our notes that you take at church. So you get that first in your notes, and you find out more about the Bible, and you find out more about the Word of God, and you find out more, and you write all this stuff down. But once you write it down, you get to those 31 years or 20 years or whatever it is, you should give that to somebody else. Don't gatekeep a good marriage.
Right. You have to do it all for the glory of God. So your good marriage is not just for you. Now, yes, God wants you to enjoy a wonderful, blissful marriage. But
write it down on tablets
and make it plain.
Make it plain so they may see your vision and what you accomplished, and they can run with it.
So that's what we're doing. We not only do it for us, but we do it for our children, and we do it for the many, many people that never say, I'm watching you, I'm watching you, I'm watching you. But I know that you are, because we get told sometimes, sometimes someone would be bold enough to say, I've been watching you guys and I like what I see,
But they don't want to make a comment because it's about sex.
Right.
Or they want to comment because if I make a comment here and I have a marriage that's not doing great, they'll sit it and look at me, and then it's not about them, it's about you. It's about your family.
I don't mind if you slide into my DM, wives. Yeah. And husbands, he doesn't mind if you slide into his DM and ask him some things, because we want you to have a very fruitful and prosperous and blissful
and we're not afraid
marriage.
To talk about anything. And if you have a question, we'll answer it.
We will answer it.
We'll answer it.
Let's go
Sometimes,
to
we'll go. What do you want, or what to do when you cannot engage in sex? What to do when you cannot engage in sex?
Now, this one is something. For instance,
sometimes sometimes sex may not be possible due to it could be health issues. It could be mental health issues. It could be emotional stress. It could be lifing. But 1 Peter 3:7 says, call us to live with your wives in an understanding way. Yes. That means when physical intimacy is off the table for a time, we must still nurture other forms of closeness and understanding.
Yes. Don't leave your wife hanging because maybe she's in a dark hole, or
she could have cancer.
She has cancer,
or she has breast cancer. She could have surgery. There's a whole bunch of different ways. Or men, you could have prostate. There's a whole bunch of other things that could happen.
Right.
That it's just not working the way that you want it to work.
Right.
So you have to. It's not all about sex.
It's not all about sex.
It's just sex is just sex.
it's just a wonderful addition.
But it's just one part of intimacy.
Yes.
It's just one.
He said that great. So we have a workbook called Rekindling the Spark that goes along with my 35 lesson course that is talking about keeping the fire burning with the passion in your relationship. We explore how couples can stay connected emotionally and spiritually, even when physical intimacy isn't possible.
That means dates.
Yes. Non-sexual forms of affection.
Non-sexual. It's because men, sometimes we can get caught up with it has to be sex. But sometimes it's just walking. Sometimes it's just talking, being with that person, communicating on something that we find interesting.
Right. Sitting together. Sometimes you can sit together in silence. I don't like to do that often for a long period of time.
I will fall asleep. I will fall asleep in a second. Like what?
But just to like be in a beautiful place,
Yes,
and look around and just sit with him and just say, wow, look what God has created, that he's allowed our eyes to see, that, and just looking in silence for a little bit. Okay, I'm down with that.
I'm down with that too.
And experiences, us being together, doing things together is intimate.
But remember, like I said before, you have to communicate this beforehand.
Yeah.
What you plan to do, what the goal is going to be,
right,
and what the outcome will be.
Yeah.
So you're setting, so this is go back to work, because my thing is leadership, and leadership is godly
marriage.
So set your expectations. Set what you want to happen, and set how it's going to happen, and then go back and evaluate everything that happened.
Right. So let's give them examples. So we were talking about my uterus.
Her uterus, not her ovaries.
My uterus.
Her fallopian tubes.
not my tubes either. So I had fibroids, which was causing crazy issues.
Which is very common in African American women.
Yes. And the best solution for me was to have that uterus and cervix removed.
And a lot of times that's scary for women because they feel that it removes them from being a woman. So no, you can't have kids anymore. You can't, but we've already been past the kids.
I was cool. I was like, cool, because that means no cycles. Cool.
So
cool,
cycle
cool.
stops. So you have to look at the positives of what can happen with it. And the positives were no more pain.
No more pain. No more bleeding.
No more
menstrual cycles.
Mood swings were still there.
Less mood swings.
But it's still because your hormones are still there.
Right. Everything else is still there. So, but during that period, there would be no sex for, 8 weeks?
It was about 8 weeks.
That was insane because we've had 4 kids and we've never went past not having sex for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, Jesus.
1 week was a push.
Yeah, Woo. 1 week is a push for us. So,
but once you get your mind in that state, it's not hard to do.
Until you hit that 4-week mark. And then I was like, let me call this doctor because we need to talk about some other things that sis is going to do.
But there's things that you have that's available and you're talking and like I said, intimacy, communication, and just speak during that time. Speaking and communicating during that time was huge.
It was huge. And his patience and his gentleness was huge. But once again, with that 4-mark hit, it was like
sis was on it. Literally, she was on it.
What's that term? My man.
Yes. Well, in our book, Communication Blueprint, it's just talking different things that you can do. The I statements,
the things that we can't say here on the episode.
But
so you have to get the book to see.
But you do have to communicate. Like we said, the main thing with everything is communication. Well, I don't know that is it.
That's the main thing. So, number 4, how do you avoid having a sexless marriage? That is definitely not the goal. You do not get married not to ever have sex.
You got to encourage more sex.
You have to encourage it. Ladies, if you are in a sexless marriage and you're like, oh my gosh, I do want it. Where is he? You have to figure out, number 1, why is it sexless? Do you feel like your roommates?
You get the root cause.
What's the root cause?
Root cause analysis. What is it that's causing everything to happen?
Right.
Because you're just getting a symptom. The symptom is I don't want to have sex or my drive is low. Why? You need to find out that why. I said, is it financial? Is it lack of communication? Is it trust?
Right.
But you have to find out what it is that's causing that and then remove that root cause.
Right. You take it out. So for those wondering how to encourage more physical intimacy and avoid a sexless marriage, it's essential to understand that it's not just about scheduling it because you can put it on your calendar all day long. But if those root causes are still there and haven't been rooted out, then you can have it on there and nothing will happen. It's about creating an environment where intimacy can naturally thrive. So in Proverbs chapter 5, verses 18 and 19, it says, may your fountain be blessed, your fountain. And may you rejoice in the wife of your youth.
Yes.
May you ever be intoxicated with her love. So intimacy starts with rejoicing in and cherishing each other on a daily basis. There has to be connection. One of
the connections you can do is, of course, your date night.
Yes.
So in our date night inspiration, we have so many different books. And like I said, we wrote 31 years of marriage. We wrote everything down because we started, like I said, journaling in church when we were writing all the stuff down. But now we've made it available for everybody because we don't want to date keep. So in our date nights, like we have like 27, like the alphabet dates. We have that one.
Yes.
But it reminds us.
That's a cute book.
It is. So regularly planning time together is vital. Yes. So you have to plan times to be together, whether or not it's at midnight, 3 a.m, whether or not, because
we like those 3 a.m. days.
When I used to work at night, I would come home and it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning when I finally get home. Well, you still want to go out on a date with your wife.
Yeah.
You still want to go out. So we would go out at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. My mother would watch the kids. Kids, I woke up and we were gone and going. We went to Waffle House a few times.
Yes.
We went, whatever was open, we would go to.
Right.
Bossa Nova here out in Los Angeles.
Bossa Nova.
I love a Brazilian restaurant.
Out.
But you have to figure out certain things. Denny's.
Denny's.
IHOP.
We love some Denny's.
Whatever.
And IHOP. They're
she
always
loves Denny's.
open.
So I'm more of an IHOP guy. Gotta get my waffle.
Denny's has the best hot chocolate.
Yeah.
IHOP has the best waffles.
So you do have to communicate with your spouse. You have to understand what's going on. You have to plan your dates and set a time for these dates and quiet evenings at home where you can focus just on each other.
Yeah.
Because when you prioritize your relationship, physical intimacy just becomes a natural extension.
It does. It just, if you are watching our date night series on Instagram, then you would see like every Friday I post our last date, and in my comments you can always see, okay, ended in this way, and I got smiley faces and emojis. But that intimacy creates the big oranges that you want. It just leads right into it. It's just, and so if you know that every Friday you're going on a date or every Saturday you're going on a date, I mean, the whole week you're just anticipating and thinking and the urging and this and that. So
and you want that urge and that anticipation to be a happy urge and anticipation, not a dread.
Right.
Because sometimes you can have somebody that you're with and you dread it. Like I said, you have to find out why you feel that way.
Because you should not feel dread when your spouse tells you they're going on a date. It's the night.
Yes.
But so real quick, we're going to talk about frequency really quick, because so you're out of this sexless marriage, and you both of you are like, we're kind of like with your drives were a mixed match, or maybe one of you likes, like you can last for 3 days, and then on the third day you need it, but the other person's like, oh, I'm good for 5 days.
Oh, I thought you meant last like an hour. 45 minutes.
He was like days. Girl, what are you saying?
Like days.
No.
That's back in the day. You go from morning.
Back in the day.
That's a different section out of that.
Hey. But anyway, you have to compromise. So if one of you is a 3-dayer and the other's a 5-dayer, we're gonna have to come to.
Some days you can go 5. Yeah. Some days you go 3.
Some weeks.
Sometimes, but you have to come up.
You have to come up with it. Yeah.
But then you have to talk and communicate. Exactly, can work for both of you.
Everything is communication.
Everything's communication.
If you master the art of effective communication, you can make it in this marriage. Yep. Your marriage can be whatever you dream it to be. And on that note,
is that it? No.
That's not it?
No, is it? Well, I guess it is. It's time to go.
That's it. It's time to go. Goodness. It's 1:37. If you would like to get the books that we talked about today, they are available on Chris's Stan.Store. That's Stan.Store / ChrisZeriah.
ZERIAH.
Isn't it a wonderful name?
It is, ChrisZeriah. It's in the Bible. It's adjacent.
It's not.
It's in the book of Amos.
It's in the minor like it would be, but it's not.
It's Zeriah in the Bible. But it's spelled different. But we'll just say that's what it is. Anyway,
But yes, so thank you for joining us this week for our episode of Strong Marriage Live, where we talked about behind closed doors.
Yes, and our ever expanding, our workbooks are all being released onto our Stan.Store, and then we'll put it also on our Shopify store. But it's a lot. We've written a lot of books.
He's written a lot.
There's a lot of books out there that if there's something going on with your marriage, our onboarding marriage book
Intimacy Toolkit will help you out.
Intimacy Toolkit, our communication toolkit, our leadership is marriage toolkit, our God in marriage toolkit.
Ooh.
There's so many different things that we learned in our 31 years that if you have this and you can follow it, you won't have any problems whatsoever. The biggest key, of course, is to communicate.
Communication. If you don't get anything else,
communicate.
Effective communication.
Yeah.
You need to know how to do it.
So I'm Coach Chris.
And I am Coach Tanisha, and I'm here reminding you that you really can have the marriage of your dreams. You just need the tools to build it.
Now take on the day.
Take on the day.
Take care, guys.